Hello, and welcome to this podcast. This is apparently Patent Talk. But what we have here today is a podcast. I hope you will enjoy. Where I, Nigel, will take you through a description of patents from years gone by. Ones I find interesting, ones that have historical importance, especially to do with railways, locomotives, steam traction, this kind of thing. If you have something that you think is engineeringly interesting, do so. And if I made any intro music, here it go. There we go. We start off by saying that I get this patent comes from United States Patent Office. I believe it is known as Locomotive Steam Engine for Rail and Other Roads, US 1A 18360713. John Ruggles. John. Yes, there we go. US. I do strap in, ladies and gentlemen, if of course you're in a motor vehicle, and straps are available to you. They save lives in the event of emergency or other collision. It's just good practice. So here we go. We start off with United States Patent Office, John Ruggles of Thompsonian, Maine. Maine. Locomotive Strax engine for rail and other roads. Specification of letters patent number 1, dated July 1830. To till it honnet, it may concern. Be it known that 1 John Rungner X8 of Thompsonian in Tile State of Elaine have invented a new and useful improvement or improvements on locomotive wrens used on railroads, said common roads, by which inclined plains and hills man be ascended, open curly brackets, close square brackets, heavy loads drawn up the same nivis lothra fluid y, and ill 6 move, then heretofore slid by, where the evil afflicts of frost. Ice stewart above, vid liver oil, the rail causing the wheels to slide are obviated. M. The obstacles met with in ascending inclined planes are with locomotives drawing Linvey loads after them are the aggregate open brackets if power in the engine and the defecting of adhesion to the rails. My improvements are duad to give a neutralified tractive power syphlocollotative and to prevent tile evil, to L, lay, of the sliding of the wheels jigger, and of these improvements I have made for application for a gelatin to be issued according to the visions of the following is a fill, close brackets, and excellent description said improve 26 minutes. To prevent the heels fro sliding oil the rails, I make use of a check rail, and retreating tile cogs are applied in the following manner. The wheels are ilvade to the common form X6PT, that the rear is somewhat wider from tile flange to tile outside of tile tread. It should be no wider than to pass the rail stiffly, and it width 4 before the E percentage tended 1.3 inches. This extended part of the rini at the periphery, therefore, is 0 inches less in diameter than the hearing periphery. The accompanying drawings are made A1 art of Zind are referred to this description open brackets ion for open brackets lie better understanding in comma therein. And we can, if you are following along with me, ladies and gentlemen, you can see said drawings. I'll just go over to these drawings here. Oh, there's one, just one. I expected there'd be more. I'll be honest. I'm finding it difficult to really make out some things here, but what I think it's describing is the conical shape of a locomotive's wheel, which allows a train or locomotive or cars, bogies, to stay onto the wheel in a way that effectively self-centers the locomotive in question. A transmover kitten of the rini is seen at foot il Fipperter 2, and it is Gil 0 all fility shown in Fig. I 4 extended rini is pierced with 24 loved percent or square sockets, where tile wheel 46 has N spokes. For the reception of tile retreating endings are the 14 iliches, open brackets, layer at sequa 1 Telasanacalis hill, il frol tile, awalker tile, rilil, il, open brackets, hyphen, open brackets, hyphen, open brackets, sra, 111 tivit, vercalera, il, these, s, open brackets, C40, entile directly, il, open brackets, f the so, radi, lev, 11, hyphen, 0. Shawillal at B, 11, in Fig 1, 3, close brackets, have shredders oil their inner ends to slope their open brackets 10 hua 11161 to oil, old divol prefer it il hariner the rim J, open brackets, if and in, open brackets, full stop, comma, comma, V, colon, 1114, 161, with sufficient force to project them outward easily when pressed ill, close brackets, into their sockets. The sporadically react against the tile top, open brackets, if one cap, or coes with sufficient force to, made to enclose. There we go. 1111 D protect 150 them fro midi or other implementants T open brackets their easy action. DW cam is in from of the section I cone till open brackets close square brackets Ina Y bit seen at W Fig 1 is fitted and scrolled firmly to the rim, the upper end being supported by braces, open brackets italicized I or L, D, which tie fastened to the spokes, AT attached to the cogs, is a rod, a bont, half all inch delimer question mark passing, ill, close brackets. Throw teal sprang spiral spring, and freely de-roller hull the top of the till case, and brace projecting half an inch above, close square brackets. His rod guides the intotion of the cogs. The case may be about 2 inches high and 2 inches broil at its base. So, give you a moment to catch up there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're following along with me. It's very interesting so far. I think maybe the engineering of this may be beyond me. I'll admit I'm having a little bit of trouble figuring out exactly what it's saying, but I'm sure you've got it there, and we can carry on. The check rail B is placed oil the ont side of the blaring rails, so fill -desecrante that tile bearing pa close brackets -t of 1 rinny of the wheel call close brackets lot reach it when running close to its flange. M teal teeth iral j all inch in depth and stitch distances pal -t that the cogs will take -inst her tooth accord -80 G full stop comma D comma fourth or 5T-ing, as there may be a greater or less distance between the cogs. The check rail is fastened by the nails, or otherwise to the stills at 6.1.1, comma. The deviation that the bottom of the teeth quowl be level with the top of tile-bearing rail, tile back part of the teeth are slope, open brackets r, bleed curved, and their 0.01 flanges made. 2 colon or semicolon possibly semicolon to lapel back about J of in inch. The rail in a B close square brackets. I-inches square mislering frol top the teeth. The peripher V of the extended rail rolled written close to till teeth of the rail, burnt not so near its to touch the on the one locomotives arriving at the foot of Kill Inclined Fline, where tile checket rail is laid, or if the cogs do not happen to coin in gear with the teeth of tile rail, blitz tothel upon thenny the an Rendley retreat olet of the -v as the -shield rolls in long, offering no matlateral re-5 semicolon to -twillu to the it saltily comma close brackets ill oloth gear and hold tile NV of ill cheek 1171 d wherever tile thwill open brackets comma PL speech marks get ont of the Greer of Greer their mill de toil instantly resortes 105 Thilth Nollia revealed flymph floor jigger -v open brackets flelac open brackets if Tclpleth 110NS. The V percentage, fillet, heel, close brackets, D the whirl. Hurrah of fulfill solicited open brackets lid with very fructical aura L-ing, only when necessary to whipley the deficiency of erosion and their pressure against the dank of the teeth is only the balance of leverage which is not sustained by the owl's hension at the thread. They are not subject to the evils attending or have use a flixed top to cop, which must almost necessarily be broken in their first contact with a rock laid at the foot. I mean, who wouldn't have that happen when a rock laid at foot? Or two of an inclined plane, if they do not chance to enter into gear, and whose stubbornness subjects them to frequent accidents and injury, despite the great frictal which attends their action under all circumstances. The retreating cogs are endowed with the 16 faculty of getting out of the way when not wanted, and of instantly being in service without prompting when their need is necessary. For planes much inclined to the dissonance between the teeth should be such that the cogs shall overlay them about -n of an inch. The cogs should be applied to each of the working wheels to embargo locomotives to ascend inclined planes with heavy loads. It is necessary also to for them an increased tractive power. Right, well, tractive power, I understood. Now, I believe I'm starting to get a better idea here. This is from what I can gather, this is a wheel that is not smooth as you would consider a traditional locomotive wheel to be. On the bogie of the traditional, you would have a circle, certainly, of varying sizes, but a smooth circle it will be. Now, this cuts down, of course, rolling resistance. Now, this is not good for friction. So, for instance, if you have a very light train, let's say, with a high amount of torque, it's very difficult to get it moving. Now, of course, friction and the amount of power you can apply to rails is greatly increased when either you have more friction between the rail and the less smooth surface between the rail and the wheel, but also an increase in weight. Force having a great deal to do with mass, as you can remember with the equation FMA, or force equals mass times acceleration. Now, the acceleration here is, of course, gravity, being 9.18 seconds meters per second squared. Now, don't hold me to that. I might have got those figures a little wrong there. But the more mass the locomotive has, the more the Earth has to pull it down, therefore increasing traction. Now, if you are going up an incline, many of our troubles with friction are compounded. Now, where weight could be useful, we are actually moving as we imagine. Imagine if you would, a locomotive going up a hill. As it is tilted backwards, or in whatever way, we'll say backwards. As it is tilted backwards, the wheels at the front are receiving less load than the wheels at the back, which means you have less friction at the front, which means you have less ability to move things. Now, what I think this is suggesting is you have teethed gears in the rail and the wheel. Now, this would greatly increase the friction and, of course, the rolling resistance. Now, I imagine over short distances, the increase in rolling resistance would be inconsequential. We wouldn't do this to a large section of track, of course, because the inherent decreases in efficiency, and most of the time things are heavy enough that we can overcome our traction issues. We also have the ability to put things between the wheel and the rail. This is what you may see if you look at a locomotive with an exposed hopper with gravel or sand. This is actually to introduce some imperfection into the in between the wheel and the rail. This increases friction and allows for much less slippage. That's what I think is going on here, and I'm not entirely sure I'm backed up with the with the picture there, but I hope you understand my meaning. It continues, LE, that object in the following manner, which is described as applicable to geared locomotive engines, but all locomotives may be geared for this purpose. There are the so-driving shaft to and kin, its motion from the connecting rod and to following shaft communicating to the motion of the main working wheels by cranks and shackleban. On the drivel shaft are cog wheels A and C. Fig 154. Fix F to the shaft. On the upper shaft are wheels B and constantly in gear with A and C. B are loose on the shaft and revolve freely around it, except when they are alternately to fixed and held firmly by L spears E and F on either side of 13, and D are the shiz pots 0 and H fixed to the upper. They are perforated for the blades all the spears to pass through and enter between the arms of the oog whistles. The gag bar L her ampersand S to forward hose prongs Li throughs around the gears, which fabricate laterally by means of the la bar. Conveniently I equals 0 of the enduratory spears have the aid of a feather on the shaft, as well U-S of the subterraga and ha. By this means the wheels and D-arm alternately felled fats to the shaft as occasion may lure. When one is fat, the other resolves the sugar around the shaft without impediment to the one in service. It is already perceived that by increasing E, the groove moved altogether applied to sit under the diameter of the wheel D, and diminishing the tractive wear of the engine may ampersand four-rolled if desired in chant. The running gear as above in ibed, and the common moving gear comforter due proportion speed, and power 466 level and moderately undulating of throw road. On entering upon a went of the inclined phase, or huffle, as the momentum acquired on the level is spent, and the power of the engine begins to fail, the engineer cutting off steam to the instant, Re7U moves the spear I and brings the other into here by a single motion of the lever, without stopping of the progress of the locomotive. It is enabled to move upon the lane with speed, then of level but a redoubled power. When arrived at some the other wheels are brought into action again in like manner, and the locomotive proceeds with its accustomed speed. The tractive power of the engine may be thus trebled, or quadrupled, to adapt it to the grading of the road on which it is to be used. Another mode of changing though gearing by holding fast the two wheels P and D alternately is by means of levers placed in a groove lengthwise, a though shaft, one arm of which being raised operates like a feather, entering a notch or groove in the bush of the wickler. The arms of the levers are raised and depressed by a slide, and go bar as shown in F T, moving the wheelbar. B. Another mode is and D into and all out of gear alternately by a lateral motion of the shaft, effected by a gag percentage bar with arms, as shown in Fig. 6. US 96 ampersand lasso, another mode, as at Fig. 7. One have also a method of drawing the retreating cogs within their sockets, but I do not zoinder this as to their successor illusion, and 8 till 8 Surat is, however, underscore quimmer hyphen ill to here 10, as Lear may circumstances under which it is operation may be useful. It is thus: the rod attached to the cog is continue of S diminished size, not exceeding 1 ix of an inch to within II inchiger of the nave, where it passing freely through the end of a lever which fiddle against a nut at the end of the rod. This lever, seen at A in Figs 2 and 3, passes in the direction wheel of the axle inward, moves to a pivot in the projecting part of 11 the nave at I, and the other arm inclines towards the axle up shown in Fits 2 and 3. Now, as I say, I can't see any more figures. Oh, I've accidentally opened something there. Oh, that's a picture. I can get it bigger. Yeah. Well, as I don't understand, it appears that this locomotive would have either I am to guess this would have multiple sets of gears, and this is wheels, and this is describing a method by which you would switch from the smooth wheel to a grooved one, particularly when there is an incline that is too great to be overcome by when we get to a point where the torque of the wheels means that they are slipping on the rail and no longer providing forward motion. The grip, of course, effectively what we've made is a gear here, except the instead of a machine being gear into itself, what we're effectively having is the train geared towards the earth, and the earth being another cog. This is a very interesting concept. You can see in the picture what I think is describing a rudimentary gearbox. There is, I believe, a balancing shaft. That could be a cam rod, I'm not sure. But we can see that you can change the speed and torque of these wheels depending on which gear you're in, as of course The change of size of different gears affects both the speed at which it rotates and the force acting upon it. The faster the wheel is turning means that the faster you have your wheel turning, it means that you can provide less torque to it. Torque is what's really most important when we come towards a vehicle such as this. When you're going into something with far higher rolling resistance, people would prefer horsepower. Horsepower is possibly a flawed way of measuring power, but horsepower here is not relevant, because horsepower is both the torque and RPM. Now, we're changing RPM rapidly, as described here. So torque, we'll also be changing torque, of course, because we'll be changing 3 different gears. It appears that we can have a high-speed gear for when the going is fine, and a lower gear for when speed is less important than just raw brute force to get up a hill. We carry on. Ln, the axle at L, a circular slide C1 colour through 1 glolls, in which E arms of the levers passer when moved on the axle from 11 the -nave. It larosero the arms flerome the axle percentage, and thus draws the cogs within their sockets. The side is moved by til ga ampersand E bar M, having prongs which rest into groove around the outer ed E of the slide. This 11, like the other gauge tars, are moved endwim in ficturas by means of a lever placed in any convenient manner to be within reach of the engineer. This by means whether the engers be at rest or in motion, or the cogs are drawn into icril sockets at once by a single motion of the engineer. There is 1 lever between each 2 spokes, each rearing 2 cog ampersand. The principal advantage of this is the withdrawing of the cogs from action action is in IFL descending hyphen a plane, wheel and check rail inlaid when annular use is not auxiliary, and thus avoiding the wear of them. It may be found useful too for N curves in an and for plant to 6th withdraw the epijole of the inside wheels from action, facilitating the adjustment of the wheels to the curved roller. PLL. Stead of a spiral fled, they are to the head RFA rod attached will also be placed the applique for a single. However, the mills can also to a rim to be made on the inside of the 3-1. Also, parallel the application of this improvement to all parts of a road in seasons and realms of frost ice, ampersand snows, and wherever the indication is so to, and to rewire the reversed power of the engine to check the descent, and where the adhesion of the wheel is insufficient for that purpose, the cogs may be so formed so as to take against the rail check in descending as well as ascending. Another mode of working the levan which raise the cop is by means of ampersand tenor 01, a spiral a prima W toe twoop 0 thereto to an spiral spring in and at the nave, and I completan lion of the retreating cogs to placed in the centre between hollow cons surrounding the axle men at P in F 8 it it moved forward by the gauge bar is end her flot, close brackets, we arms se up in shallow grooves in surface. John Ruggles, W itimimals, Shakraras W Missouri. Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's interesting that it mentioned curves there. This is something to be considered. Now, usually, if you want to avoid mechanical complexity, you would not fix a locomotive in this time. This is 18. Given the low friction available and that the wheels are made of steel instead of rubber, a differential is not usually required. Now, I'll briefly explain the differential. If we imagine a road vehicle which uses rubber to gain adhesion to the ground, rubber is very good at achieving grip, but also due to the material properties of rubber that give it grip, it's also relatively soft, and so it can scuffing can wear it, and so to avoid tyre wear as much as possible, you would have a differential between an axle. So if we imagine we have two wheels on an axle, and they are joined together by just a single rod. When you're going down the road in a forward motion, everything is fine. We have no power losses, of course, because power is being applied evenly to both wheels. However, if you wish to make a turn, the outside wheel of this turn will have to move faster than the inside if you want to keep everything in balance. Now, most of the time, this is not a great concern, as you're not tending to do angles and speeds that would damage it most of the time. However, really to avoid tyre wear, you want to be able to have one wheel move faster than the other, because otherwise, excessive use of this will effectively scuff one wheel into the ground where it isn't moving fast enough. Imagine taking your finger onto a table or something and then just rolling it forwards and till you run out of roll there, and your finger moves upon the table as much as for as much travel as you have. Now imagine if you take your finger and without rotating it on the thing on the table, you just merely drag it across. You can feel that the table and your finger are resisting each other. So what we can do is we can allow our imaginary finger here. This is let's drop the analogy of fingers here, maybe, shall we? The important thing is we can choose that one wheel spins faster than the other. Now this has its own drawbacks. You are introducing another moving part. You're introducing losses. However, this is, to my mind, almost a necessity if we are considering something that is going along grooves. Now, of course, if we're on a turn and we're on a groove, these rails will usually, you would assume, have an even spacing between the divots. Now, this won't work for a turn because one wheel requires moving faster than the other. Now, most of the time, this is not an issue because, as I say, very low friction on steel, so it doesn't really matter. But if you are driving two spokes into each other, you are going to rub. You're not just going to have them fit neatly together. You really just bump them together, and this is unpleasant. It's jarring. It could damage the rail, the wheel, the locomotive. You could have even come to a derailment, if you're going fast enough. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether what I just read out mentioned a differential, but I think it would be required here. Otherwise, you could only use it on perfectly straight rail. Now, usually in rail, we don't have too awkward a bend because we have a long wheelbase in bogies, and they can only turn so far. So we tend to have gentle curves, but you really, at this point, you need a differential. I don't think it would work any other way. I hope you've enjoyed this brief patent talk, apparently. So, apparently patent talk, that's what we got. Do join me next time when we go through another patent. Hopefully I can make a little bit more sense of that, and I won't have to do so much explanation of mechanical principles and so on and so forth. I do hope you've enjoyed. Do send in your suggestions for patents or principles that you'd like to hear. And if you have any suggestions for the podcast as to how I can improve or so on, do leave me your thoughts, etc., etc. And Bebo, bye.